these processes that I alluded to in the entire MK15 and all of its annexures and attachments. Because when IDAC requested the dockets through the office of Lieutenant General Sentomule, if this, and I'm not saying that this didn't happen, what would have made sense if IDAC was informed that they should please wait, there is a process to deal with this matter, given that there is a complaint that has been escalated to the Office of the National Commissioner. Of course, we would have waited. We were not informed that there was a process to look at the allegations and or the unhappiness of Mr. Adams. Not at all. The dockets were handed over. And it is so. Those dockets, in all likelihood, in the form that they were in at the South African Police Services, were scanned. And they were unable to apply, or well, they applied their minds, but could not come up with the requisite criminal charges. I'm not disputing that. But that must be borne out by the fact that for whatever reason, and the attempts they made, or the kinds of attempts they made, Honorable Chair, they did not secure an audience with Mr. Adams. IDAC was able to secure an audience with Mr. Adams when he referred the matter in terms of Section 27. IDAC was able to sit with him, to take his affidavit, and to fully understand the allegations that he was making. That was an opportunity the police did not get. I accept that if they got that opportunity and or asked for that opportunity and went ahead with it, there's a real likelihood those cases would not have ended up in the IDAC space because the police would have done their work. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying we were not aware of that process. And I would honestly, in fairness to the colleagues at SAPS, one would have expected them to bring it to IDAC's attention, that they were vested in dealing with this complaint.
Sorry, can I just confirm what is the date that on which Mr. Adams referred the matter to IDAC, firstly, and then secondly, the charge against accused 1 to 6. I know that 7 has an additional charge of corruption. 1 to 6. Thank you, Chair.
Sorry, Chair, if I may just ask for clarity, Honorable Sangoni, you are asking in terms of the referral made by Adams, what were the allegations he made against those accused?
No, the date on which he made the referral. Thanks.
I speak under correction, and when we get a break, I'll get the exact date, but it would have been between the 11th and the 20th of November.
What is General Khumalo charged with?
In the charge sheet which is attached, General Khumalo is charged with corruption for the gratification of the employment position, and then there are fraud charges as well that are preferred against the general and the accused.
Honorable Mwango, Honorable Skwasana.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon, Advocate. I'm just wanting to get some clarity here that the information contained in the annexure document actually gives us a process that actually had been undertaken by the police after they had actually received is it the dockets? I don't know whether the dockets from Mr. Adams. So it actually outlines the processes. Now, in the evidence here that is presented to us, the documents are actually reported to have disappeared. In the light of what actually is contained here, would you still say that the documents had disappeared?
Sorry, Chair, I seek clarity. I'm just slightly confused about what documents do you refer to, Honorable Member?
I mean I don't know whether it is, you guys call it dockets.
The dockets, Honorable Member.
Yes,
Yes.
dockets, yes. In your statement, in your evidence in chief, you are actually saying that those dockets were missing. Nobody knew where they were. And then here in this annexure, the annexure is actually outlining the process that indeed these dockets were being attended to in November and right up to December. So my question is, would you still maintain that the dockets had disappeared, as you have actually said in your evidence?
Thank you, Honorable Member. What is in my affidavit is what is reported to us by Mr. Adams, that he had opened cases in the Western Cape, those dockets disappeared. I use the words that the person used, that he opened dockets in Gauteng and they disappeared. What I did say in an earlier response just now was, IDEC was not aware of the process that was followed as per MK15. So, how these got there, we are not aware. But what we did become aware of is when he came to Gauteng, we asked the Divisional Commissioner Detectives that we would like to know if these dockets are there and can we have access to those dockets. Given that they were then, as I now know, were busy with these, of course they had those dockets. But we didn't know where those dockets were, and the witness, Mr. Adams, the complainant, sorry, indicated that the dockets were missing. When those dockets were handed to us, we were handed dockets with Valeria CARES numbers and one Langlaagte CARES number, and those were the dockets that we then had. But those were the dockets that they had and gave to us. We didn't know that they had them till we wrote and asked for them, but that is what he said, Honorable Member, that the dockets were missing.
Through you, Chair, should we actually believe that the dockets were missing or had disappeared? Should we actually be still saying that the dockets had disappeared?
Honorable Member, I give it from the context of what was referred to us and what the complainant indicated. When we had the dockets, we can no longer say the dockets are not there. Those are the dockets that we were given by the head of detectives. So in his initial report, he said the dockets are missing. So when we were given the later information, we were able to ask for. So no, we can't say the dockets are still missing. We now have the dockets because the head of detectives provided us with those dockets.
Ngola and then Matthijs.
Thanks, Chair. In the same docket kind of questioning. Mr. Adams opens a case in Cape Town. 2 days later, Mr. Adams opens a case in Gauteng. When did he lodge a complaint with IDEC? And when did IDEC receive the dockets? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ngola. He referred the matter to IDEC in the middle of November, and IDEC only requested and received the dockets after that. I indicated when we take a break, I will make sure that I get a copy of that letter written to General Sentomole to indicate that we were requesting the dockets. So he registered dockets. When you look at the CARES numbers, they say CARES something stroke 10. So he registered his dockets in October, but he only approached IDEC in the middle of November, and we got the dockets after the referral.
So Mr. Adams' evidence is that in month end October, he registered cases, but already, which is a problem about 17 days, 15 days, his evidence is that dockets were missing in between those days.
Thank you, Chair. Advocate, Just, it's a bit bizarre that you don't have the exact dates even in your affidavit, or in your statement rather, but we have here the 29th of October was when Honorable Adams opened the case in Western Cape. Then it's the 31st of October when he traveled to Gauteng. Then on the 1st, he writes to the minister, and then you get a letter on the 11th of November. So it's all in a space of 14 days. Does that make sense to you?
So,
14 days that it landed up with you to intervene.
Honorable Chair and Member, I understand what you're saying. On the face of it, it looks as though things were rushed. We cannot determine the sequence that he chose to follow. But when he did come to IDEC to refer the matter, we dealt with the matter at the time. I accept that it doesn't look kosher, but that is what he did. I cannot comment on why he followed the timeline that he did. And that is why I go back to, if the police had indicated they were running a process as per MK15, we would have stood back and allowed that process to run. It was not in our interest to be running with the matter while they ran with the matter.
So the question wasn't so much, wasn't talking so much about the process of Adams, of Honorable Adams. It's about that when you finally got hold of it, that this happened so quickly. So that just didn't raise any awareness that within 14 days you have something, and the fact that he said dockets are missing and they actually weren't missing.
I take the point, Honorable Mates. I can't differ from your answer, except we received a complaint, we acted on the complaint in the time that we acted on the complaint.
Now, a standard question in our inquiry. Do you know Kat Matlala? Do you know Brown Mkhotsi? Have you got their names or numbers on your mobile telephone?
No, I don't know any of them, and got to know of them from what is in the media reports. And of course now through the Madlanga Commission, one gets to know about the allegations of their criminality. Kat Matlala, we got to know based on the fact that, well, we got to know of him, to be correct, based on the referral on the 16th of February 2025 from the Risk Audit Committee of the South African Police, but only insofar as relates to the 360 million rand tender, nothing else. So I cannot comment on their criminality, either one of them, or anyone else that is allegedly the Big Five cartel.
And another cat, but this one with a K, Molefi.
No, Chair. What I know is what is at the Commission, and or what General Mkhwanazi said on the 6th of July, or what he testified to.
Were you aware that Mr. Molefi's place was raided on the 6th of December 2024?
No. After the fact, yes, as it now plays itself out in the media, through the Commission.
Because the narrative is that what triggered this whole train of events is Molefi's, the raid, his arrest on the 6th of December in Gauteng. PKTT is also involved in that operation. And then you have the directive of the 31st of December 2024 issued by the Minister. And then there is the, of course, terminating PKTT immediately, and there's an issue about that. But there's the dockets are then sought very early in January by General Sabia, and there's a whole trail of events.
Honourable Chair, it is rather unfortunate that were the conclusions that were sought to be drawn. IDEC received a referral from Mr. Adams. We continued with that investigation. In February, we received a referral from the South African Police Services into the tender irregularities of Kat Matlala. We proceeded with that investigation. If it hadn't played itself out in the media space at the time about his devices being seized, we would have carried on with our investigation till the investigation dictated a need to conduct a search and seizure in terms of a cyber warrant and then in terms of a normal warrant for documents. What their allegations and involvement are in other criminal matters, who's investigating those matters, are not of interest to IDEC, nor were they within the purview of IDEC. And the only way we came to know that the PKTT was even involved in the Matlala matter was the National Commissioner who directed that the 2 cell phones that were seized from Matlala were with Lieutenant General Khumalo's team, and that he had arranged and facilitated that those would be brought to IDEC and the cyber expert for download. That is as far as the knowledge is concerned. Everything else that we do know about the PKTT has played itself out as it has in the media. Be it the letter, be it the request for dockets, why they were asked, when they were asked, were not within our purview, and it has nothing to do with IDEC. And we had no right or reason to be involved in any of those. And if I could just say one final thing, if the police...